Welcome. My name is Leah, and I am your personal home tutor. And in today's session, we will be learning the basics of Mandarin or Putonghua. So today is lesson 1. And the things we will be covering today are the tones and also your first 10 words. Okay, so let's get started. So I brought some materials with me. I have my whiteboard right here, and it is a small whiteboard because I think it helps the student focus better, and it is actually magnetic, and I think that learning with a whiteboard is probably the most efficient way of learning language, just because it's clear, you can easily erase it, correct it, you can do exercises on it. So yes. And I brought my two whiteboard markers with me, and also my whiteboard eraser. So here's the eraser. And this is actually a reusable one, and the reason why I like this one is because once the top layer, this bit, gets too dirty, which is actually very clean right now, just peeled off a new layer recently, you can remove this layer and actually use it again, obviously. And my two markers that I will be using today are red and blue. And these two are one of the best whiteboard markers because they're so easy to rub off, and they're precise and clear and opaque and pigmented. They have a little rubber on the end too. So, let's get started with the lesson. So from the information you gave me, I gather that you are a complete beginner, as in you don't know anything about Mandarin, and I'll be calling it Mandarin from now on. That's just my preference instead of Putonghua. I like calling it Mandarin. It's just easier to say. So that's completely fine. That's why I'm here to teach you. So the first thing I want to teach you, and probably the most important part of Mandarin, is the 4 tones. So with my handy dandy whiteboard marker, I will be taking my red pen and I just wanted to mention that there are a lot of planes flying overhead, so I hope that doesn't distract you from the lesson, but if it does, I'm so sorry. You can tell me about it at the end of the lesson, or leave me a comment, and I will try and fix that for next time. But anyways, so the 4 tones that are imperative to the Mandarin language are these four. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So to the average person that doesn't know how to speak or write Mandarin, that just looks like a load of mumble jumbo. But it actually makes sense. So the best way I can think of to explain this and teach this to you is to use a Chinese word. So you don't know this word yet, but I will be teaching you this word in this lesson. And that word is mu. M-U. So I just wrote what is called the pinyin, and that just basically means how to pronounce the Mandarin letter or word. So that helps English speakers a lot, and a lot of novice Mandarin speakers will use that to learn and read passages quickly. So it's a lot easier to read and understand Mandarin text when there's pinyin. So we will be using that throughout today's session, just so that you can get a grasp of the Mandarin language easier. So with this word, you can see that I actually put one of the 4 tones on the U, and that would be, well done, the last one. So what it sounds like is mu. So it sounds short, sharp, and definite, and that is kind of what encompasses the last tone, which is, when I was taught it when I was young, I was always taught to think like you're angry or, you're shouting at someone, but you're not really. So it's mu. So it's not the most relaxing tone, obviously, but it's a great way to show you. And I put the tone on the U because the tones only go on specific letters in the pinyin. Now that may be a little advanced for you right now, so we will be going through that in the next lesson, if you wish to continue, of course. So for all you need to know right now for the basics is that the tones go on certain letters, but most of the time, if you're reading with pinyin, the tone will be there, obviously. So I'm going to say the same word, mu, in the 4 different tones, and so that you can tell the difference between them. And it is actually that when you say the same word in different tones, it becomes a completely different word or character or letter. That is because that is how the Mandarin language works. So it goes. Mu. That's number 1. And number 2. Mu. That's number 2. And number 3. Mu. And lastly, the original tone, mu. So to a beginner, the tones might make the word actually sound similar. You might actually only be able to hear a slight difference, but when you get to know the Mandarin language, they actually make an immense difference. So the way I said those words, they all will make the word or character mean something else. But the one we are concerned with today is the last one, because that means wood. So that is the English translation. And the character looks like this. And that's another very important part of the Mandarin language in the writing aspect, is that there is a specific stroke order that we need to follow. But one thing that's kind of leeway is that everyone's Chinese characters looks different. Some people draw it really fancy, like calligraphy, or some people just write it like mine, and there's just simple. It's kind of like with handwriting compared to cursive to block letters or capital letters. And that's another very important part, is that the Chinese language does not have capital letters or lowercase letters, because we call these characters. So that may be a bit confusing, but it basically means that is a word. So we don't necessarily have letters like in the English language like this. So you put together W, O, O, and D, these 4 letters, and they become a word. In a sense, in Chinese language, it's you put together these 4 strokes and they become a specific word. But we do call it a character because this one character can be used to produce different words, different meanings, etc. But that is going to come soon and not today. So I'll just rub it off for you. And so I hope you understand what the 4 tones are just from this example. And if you don't, just let me know and I'll go through it again. That's what's so great about a home tutor. Okay. Just getting the board clean. Okay. So, now that you know the 4 tones, we will move on to the 10 words. So there is actually a very famous way of teaching Mandarin characters, and it is a technique, I believe, or a website that's called Chinesey, and I will actually link their website in the down bar below, so you can follow up whilst in between the next session. So I will be teaching you the first 10 characters of Mandarin. So exciting. So these are more novelty characters, and in the next lesson I will actually be teaching you useful, I guess, words like I, you, love, water, etc. So words that you will use in your daily life. And in the next session I will also be teaching you double character words. So toilet is a double character word, thank you. So it's basically how, as I said before, how 2 characters can actually make a word, but also the strokes within a character can make the character a word. It just depends on the context. And another thing that we will learn in the future is how a Chinese word is constructed. That's not really basic, obviously, but there's the radical and etc. So that's something we'll learn, but for now, we will start with this method. So the first word is fire. And I will draw the Chinese word in red, and then I will draw the pinyin and the English translation above and below in blue. Okay, so fire. And you have to pay attention to how I draw the word. I will draw it a few times for you, obviously, because the stroke order actually matters. So, you start, I'll draw it over here first. The first stroke is like this. Second, third, fourth. So, I wouldn't say I'm a pro at drawing on whiteboards backwards, but that looks quite good to me. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is how I will draw every single Chinese character for you. Large, and I'll number all the strokes so you don't forget it. So I'm going to switch to the blue pen now. And the way you say this character is Huo. Okay, so I will write the pinyin now without the tone, and I will say the pinyin, and you can tell me from which of the tones will fit on the pinyin. And I'll tell you which letter the tone goes on, because that's not what you need to learn right now. So here it is. That is the pinyin, quite slanted, but you get the point. And it sounds like Huo, Huo, Huo. So can you tell me which tone it is? Is it one, two, 3, 4. Out of these 4, which tone is it? And it goes on the O this time. Correct. It is the 3rd tone, which looks like a V. This one. And a little trick I want to share with you is the reason why tones are so important is because if we don't have them on the pinyin, like this right now, that could be any word. It could mean anything in Chinese. But with the pinyin, it means a totally different thing. So if I write the proper tone on it, so that's a full pinyin now, we know that that means fire because of the way you say it. And the way I like to remember tones is, especially for the 3rd one, you kind of imagine the lines as how your voice would go. If that makes any sense. So it goes down first, so your voice goes low first, and then it goes up, so your voice goes up again. So it sounds like Huo, Huo. Get it? Good. So I'm glad you get that, and I will write the English meaning just so that it will stick in your mind. Oops, sorry. Wrong word. So it means fire. And that's kind of messy, but you get the point. So that's your first word. And if you can't remember how to write it, there's a very easy way. And this is the Chinesey method. So the Chinesey method is that Chinese characters actually kind of look like what they mean. So this one means fire. If you look carefully, if I draw it right, It looks like a fire. In a way, my drawing's really bad, but you can kind of imagine the flame just kind of is wide in this bit and then it cinches up, so it's like a flame, a candle flame. This method always worked for me. Of course, I didn't know it was a copyrighted method or an official method, but I've just always done it in my head like this, and I think it works well. So, yeah. Now we will move on to the second word. I hope you're understanding this, and you're actually learning super quickly, so I think we can actually advance on a little quicker, which is really good news. And tell me what you think is so interesting about the Mandarin language down below. Okay. So, the second word we're going to be learning is wood. It looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does this spark a memory? Does this ring a bell? Good. I certainly hope so. So this is the word that we actually started with, so you know how to, or what it is, but I'll just write the stroke order for you. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means wood, wood, and the pinyin looks like this. And that is, the fourth tone. Well done. So it should sound definite and angry, and the way I remember that tone is, which is kind of confusing, but it looks kind of like a slanted, angry eyebrow, which it does look very similar to this tone, but that actually means gentle and just neutral, basically, as I like to think about it. But this can also mean tree, because it is actually can be used as part of another character. So this is where the Chinese language gets extremely difficult, because this can act as a radical in another word. So you have I wrote that in a really weird order, but that is actually my name in Chinese, and you can recognize mu, repeated twice, and a radical on the side. So that will be explained in a future lesson, but I just wanted to give you an example that Chinese characters can be used to make up another character, but that means one word. And the way I like to remember it is like this. I draw a tree branch, or a bush actually, like that, around these spokes. And it looks like a tree now, so it reminds me of the woods. And this character generally means tree, but by itself, as a word, it means wood, but as a character, where it can be embellished into different words or characters like this, it means tree. So I really hope I haven't confused you that much. I started learning Mandarin at a very young age, but obviously I live in Hong Kong, so it wasn't spoken in my household at all. So the only time I really spoke it was in Chinese class at school. and I actually took it for GCSE, so that was good fun. But anyway, let's move on to the third word. And I'm actually going to merge your third and fourth word together because they have a very close connection in the Chinese language in general. And that is "r". "r" and "yue". "Yue". So the way I wrote it was 1. And now this is where it's something you'll always remember. Whenever you're drawing a kind of boxed character like this, or anything that looks kind of like this, like boxy, there's one stroke that's particular, and it actually goes like this. So it's like a corner, and that is considered one stroke. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the way I was taught, and I felt that's really good, is you start walking straight, you turn the corner quickly in one motion, and then you gotta fill in the box first. So you've made a box-ish, a U shape. You've gotta fill in the box first, always, and then close it off. So I run straight, turn the corner swiftly, fill in the box, and then close the box. And that's how it's always going to be. So, like in yue, you have 1, round the corner, 2, and you can tell that there's actually something special there, and I will go over that. Then you have 3, fill in the box, and 4. The thing is, since you don't actually fill in the whole box in the bottom, you're not actually supposed to go all the way to the side. You're supposed to leave a gap, a tiny one, just to show that the box is still open at the bottom. So if the box is open at the bottom, you have a tick to show that it's open, like the door is open to the box. See, there's no door here, so it's closed, and that's closed. But since the door is open and it's not filled, you fill in the box first, obviously, always, but don't touch the sides. So I hope that's clear for you. It's kind of a hard thing to explain. But the pinyin are like this. So you have "r", so the angry eyebrow, and you have "yue", which is also the angry eyebrow. And that by itself means sun. So as a character by itself, it means sun. But it can also be used to mean Sunday in conjunction with other characters. It can mean just day, in the sense of a noun, I guess. But as itself, as a character, it means sun. And this one means moon, which is why I wanted to teach you them both at the same time, because it kind of makes sense. And I'll show you why in a sec. That means moon as a character by itself, but it can also mean month in conjunction with other characters, just like "r". So the reason why they're so easy to remember is because the closed box, which is closed, is like the sun. But the open box, that's more elongated and kind of curved due to the tick at the bottom, and it's supposed to be slightly curved, is the moon. So you have the curved, elongated for the moon, and the round closed box for the sun. Okay, so I hope you understand that. And the tone goes on the E and the I. Now, in Chinese language, it rarely, if not ever, if not never, sorry, goes on the consonants, I believe they're called. Yeah, consonants. It almost always, if not always, is on the vowels. It's just a thing. Okay. So we are now halfway there and going to learn ren next. Or ren. Said it slightly wrong there. See, that tiny little difference can mean a totally different word, and it's okay to correct yourself, especially if you're a beginner. 1, 2. Simplest word you could ever learn. But if you draw it a different way, like this, 1, 2, see a difference? Then it means a completely different thing. But I will try not to confuse you so much yet, so I will not teach you about that, but that just kind of emphasizes why stroke order is so important and in the Chinese language. So the pinyin is like this. Oh, sorry. And it is the second tone, so it's kind of gentle, just neutral, really, just ren. Still slightly short, obviously, and it means person. The way I like to remember it is it kind of looks like a guy running, doesn't it? Like his head's here. There we go. And he has shoes here. He's running. Slightly weird running style, but you get the point. Okay. I can see you're definitely getting more confident and more competent even with the Chinese language or Mandarin language. So I'm glad, because that means I can move a little bit faster. And it's always nice to have fast learners like you. Okay. So the next word is actually ko. And you can already tell by the way I've said it is that it is the which tone? Correct. The third one. And this is the most simple one. It's just a box. One around the corner. Don't need to fill anything in the box. Close the box. That is ko. Ko. And the reason why this one's so easy to remember is because that ko means mouth. And I hope you can see the resemblance that looks like a mouth if I just draw a tongue, some teeth. Kind of get the gist. Bad drawing, but you can tell that it's just a box, just like our mouths. So that's probably the easiest to learn. And the stroke order is just like any box. 1, 2, 3. So now we will move on to door. And that sounds like men in Mandarin. Men. So, looks like this. This one is a slightly more difficult word to write. Just because there's a lot more strokes than we are normally learning. But it looks like what the word means. And you'll see what I mean in just a sec. That's how it goes. 1, same, run straight, remember, run straight. 2, round the corner. 3, fill in the box all the way. And 4, close the box. So that is the left side of the character. Now we have the right side. It goes 5, 6 with a tick, 7, 8. So this one is slightly different, as you can tell. The box is closed, but there's a tick at the bottom. And the order you draw the box is slightly different. It goes 5, 6, you go down first, then you fill in the box, then you draw the corner. So in a sense it is the same, but it's slightly different because the box is still open, but yet we close the box. The reason for that is because we don't count the whole thing as a box. We count this little 2 things as the box. So they're both closed. So we close the box all the way. And don't take the box as a literal thing. It's just a kind of little aid that I think helps students learn easier. So I hope it's helping you. And as I said, that means door. And you can kind of tell where I'm gonna go with this. It looks like a door. 2 big doors with windows. And the pinyin looks like this. Sorry, that's really unclear. There you go. Men. It's just neutral. Men. Slightly short. And the stroke order, I'll write it again because this one's kind of confusing. It goes 1, around the corner, 2, fill in the box, 3, close the box, 4, 5, open the box, run straight, 6, around the corner, 7, fill in the box, 8, around the corner, and close the box. So I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. You are learning so quickly, and I'm so proud. So the next one we're going to learn is shan. That means mountain. It looks like this. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we can see the rounding of the corner, the stroke again. So it means mountain. And it sounds like shan. So you can tell that is the first tone goes on the vowel in the word, sorry. And as I told you, the first tone is like long and soft and angelic almost. So shan. So it's slightly longer and more peaceful. The way you remember that is it kind of looks like a mountain. You have the mountain tops up here and the river running down. So the reason why it looks like a mountain is all these strokes have different heights, and so there's different peaks in the mountain. It's just a kind of cute little way to learn Chinese that has always worked for me. I thought I would share it with you all. And the last two words I will actually put together, and these don't have a little picture to help you learn, that I think are very clear. Obviously, everyone can make up their own, but I think it's not that clear. So these last two words are da and xiao. So we have 1, 2, 3. That is da. And I'll just draw xiao for you. This is 1, 2, 3. Xiao. 1, 2, 3. And da has the fourth accent, and so does xiao, as you can tell by the way I'm saying it. So you know, xiao is one of those words where I would always get them mixed up of where to put the tone, but we will learn that in due course because there are 3 vowels in there. So it goes on the A. And these should both sound definite and almost angry, so da, xiao. And da means big, and xiao means, can you guess? Yeah, small. So the way I like to remember it is da actually looks big, and it's a big character. It's like spread out like a starfish, so it takes up a lot of space. And xiao is kind of cute. It looks kind of like a little kid with its arms out, just kind of prancing around and playing. And so I think of small. So there isn't really a direct kind of correlation, but everyone can make up their own ways of remembering it. And if you have any quirky ways of remembering these last 2 words of today's session, feel free to tell me about it. Okay. So those were the last 2 words, and if you want worksheets or pictures of the diagrams that are clearer, I will link a very useful website, as I told you, and picture in the down bar, where you can check for yourself what you need, what you want to take home to learn before our next session together. So I hope you really enjoyed this video and you learned a lot and you're interested in the Mandarin language, because it is such a beautiful language that I wish more people spoke. So anyways, I hope to see you very soon. Goodbye.